Hey, George Balsallie is my name. I'm here this morning at Historic House in Charleville. I'm going to demonstrate a few little tunes on an old Autoharp, which is an instrument that was patented in America around about the 1880s. And when they were first developed, they had about 6 chord bars on, like the one over there on the piano. But the Carter family started playing Autoharp way back in the early 1900s, and they sort of introduced the Autoharp into the country and western scene, and when they finally passed away, they left a legacy of about 400 lovely old songs to the world, and they were mainly accompanied on the big Gibson archtop guitar, with Maybelle playing that, and Sarah, her sister-in-law, played the little Autoharp. So the two girls provided the accompaniment for around about 400 lovely old songs. Okay, we're going to demonstrate and tell you a bit of history about the Autoharp. Technically, it's got nothing to do with harps or anything like that, or the ones that the angels fly around with and things like that. It's technically a chorded zither, and if you sort of put the 36 strings before you put the chord buttons down, it doesn't sound much, but as soon as you put a chord button down, it gives it beautiful harmony. So technically it's a chorded zither, but when the old bloke was asked to patent it on the morning that they went down to the courthouse and wrote up the patent in the late 1800s, they decided to use Autoharp, mainly because when these buttons go down here, it activates the chord and it isolates a certain number of strings, and it leaves a certain number of strings alive. So that's technically a little bit about the Autoharp. This particular one that I play, you won't find Autoharp written on it, and that's because of copyright. There's only one group in the world that can actually use the Autoharp name, and it's a group by the name of Oscar Smith. Oscar Smith bought the patent rights many, many years ago, so if you see any instruments around today like this and they haven't got Oscar Smith on them, well, they're not a genuine Autoharp. But I consider this one here superior to the original Autoharp. It's got Chromaharp written on it. It hasn't got a sound hole, but it's got beautiful tone wood, and I've got a genuine Oscar Smith behind me there, and same number of chords as this, but I tell you what, it's just dead compared to this particular instrument. It's not a person in life, when they buy a motorbike or a car or something like that, they've always got a favourite, and they always drop back on the favourite, and so this is the same with this instrument. When they first started playing Autoharp in the early days, they sat them on 3 little rubber feet, and some of the exponents used to sit there and pick them, and even in duet form. One used to play on the high bridge sound there, and then one used to play on the rhythm up here in the soft sound. But the more popular way of playing the instrument today is what they call the appellation hold, and it allows the player to get the instrument up and onto the cheek piece and the ear, and you become sort of really locked onto the instrument. So that's the technical way of playing it today, and this little tune I'll play for you first up is an old Carter family gospel song called Church in the Wildwood. Depicts a time 100 years ago when people came to the little country church on a Sunday morning with their rubber-tired buggies and horse-drawn vehicles and things like that. So this little tune goes something like this. Sorry there, I just missed that a little bit there when you said it. Okay, as well as gospel work, it was also used for country work, and one little country tune I do is called The Wreck of the Old 97. One of the big hit parade songs for the days of the old 78s, around about the mid-1920s, 1930s. Every country artist, Johnny Cash and Hank Snow and all those early country singers had a version of The Wreck of the Old 97, and it rocked along in a gypsy tap type beat, and it's a story about the old train driver pushing his locomotive to keep a time schedule, and the locomotive jumps the rails and the boiler blows, and the poor old driver is scalded to death by the steam. So he's really got into a bit of strife. You've heard it at the historic house.